For 24 seasons, Family Guy kept returning to one of the darkest jokes on television. A baby wanted to kill his mother. I mean literally. Weapons. Schemes, death fantasies, full villain monologues. Stewie Griffin spent years trying to murder Lois, and because it was Family Guy, the show trained viewers to move past it. Evil baby hates mom. Funny premise. Next cutaway. Then season 24 episode 1 does something strange. For the first time, it treats the joke like a symptom. The episode is called The Edible Arrangement, and yes, it is ridiculous. Stewie gets high. Lois gets high. E-Hop gets involved because apparently no American emotional breakthrough is complete without pancakes. And under all that nonsense, the episode finally asks the question the show had been avoiding for more than 2 decades. What if Stewie did not want to kill Lois because he hated her? What if he wanted to kill her because she carried the part of himself he could not bear to look at? That was the moment the episode got me, because for once Family Guy lets the old joke behave like canon. It stops being random evil baby behavior and starts feeling like something the show has been accidentally building toward for years. That is what makes The Edible Arrangement more than a weed gummy episode. It becomes one of the sharpest Stewie Lois stories in the show. The trick is simple, but it changes everything. Lois finally hears Stewie the way the audience has heard him all along. The better word is translation. The episode takes everything Stewie usually keeps inside the joke, the resentment, the fear, the weird little theories, the violence, the neediness, the shame, and makes it understandable to Lois. Lois rarely gets the full Stewie. She gets the compressed file, the crying, the sarcasm, the tantrum, the fight about Oreos, and if that surface is all she reacts to, the person behind it stays invisible. And somehow, unknowingly, The Edible Arrangement understands that better than it should. This is still the show that can build an entire joke around Peter fighting a chicken for 7 hours. But here, for once, the absurdity opens the door instead of slamming it shut. The Stewie joke has always depended on a gap. The audience hears him. Lois mostly hears the baby. Stewie has a full inner universe. He schemes, resents, judges, performs. He has the emotional life of a dictator, the vocabulary of a theater critic, and the social energy of someone who sends 1-star hotel reviews with footnotes. Lois gets the crying, the demands, the chaos, the Oreo tantrum. That gap is funny because the audience knows more than she does. But it also explains how the whole show works. Characters in Quahog judge each other by the worst available translation of what is happening inside them. A missed message becomes carelessness, a slammed door becomes hostility, a tantrum becomes childishness. A joke becomes proof that nothing serious is happening below it. Stewie works as a metaphor because the audience has spent 24 seasons with access to his private channel. Lois has not. So when this episode finally lets Lois hear him, it does not feel like a random emotional pivot. It feels like the show briefly gives her the same privilege it has always given the audience. She gets the subtitles. And the moment she gets them, Stewie changes in front of her. Not because he has become different, but because, for the first time, Lois can actually read him. The episode hides its best idea inside the dumbest object, Oreos. At the start, Stewie melts down because he wants them. On the surface, it plays like a baby tantrum, or as normal as a baby tantrum can be when the baby has almost certainly read Machiavelli. Later, he gives the tantrum its actual shape. His tantrums are never about the thing they are about. The Oreo is not about the Oreo. It is about control. Stewie has almost no control over his own life. He gets carried, strapped in, scheduled, watched, fed, denied things, moved from room to room by people he thinks he is smarter than. His whole life is a committee decision made by adults. So the cookie becomes the place where the helplessness leaks out. Lois does a grown-up version of the same thing after Stewie gets high at school. She does not say, "I am terrified I failed as a mother." She writes rules, no closed doors, buddy system, constant supervision. On paper, responsible parenting. Underneath, fear with a clipboard. The episode is sharp here. Rules can create order. They can make people behave. They can keep a house from falling apart for 10 minutes. But they cannot make anyone feel known. Lois's rules manage Stewie. They do not reach him. The scene only moves when the fear under the rule becomes speakable. The edibles are not the point. They are the device. They drop both people's guard at once. And that detail matters more than the plot wants to admit. Scenes like this fail when only one character is ready for them. One person becomes ready to speak. The other is distracted, ashamed, overwhelmed, or already preparing a rebuttal. Then the truth lands in the wrong room. The episode dodges that by creating a ridiculous little side quest. Lois gets to step outside mother. Stewie gets to step outside baby. For a few hours, the roles loosen enough for 2 people to appear. That is why the scene works. Stewie has always talked. The audience knows he can talk. He has been talking at everyone for decades. The new thing is Lois receiving him. Speaking and being received are not the same event. The episode understands the difference. The obvious turn is Stewie confessing something about himself. But the better turn, at least for me, is Lois becoming disturbing. Stewie starts the night thinking he is the dark one, the twisted one, the secret little monster in the room. Then Lois starts talking. Peter, she says, is going to be dead in a couple of years anyway. By then her trust fund will vest and she will be playing in a different league. The joke is brutal. And it changes the room because until then, Lois is the helpless figure in Stewie's mind. The doormat, the trapped mother, the domestic softness he resents because it reminds him of dependence. Then Lois reveals that she has been running her own numbers. She is not as naive as he thinks, she is not as helpless as he thinks, she has made calculations, dark ones. When Brian comes up, the same pattern returns. Stewie points out that Brian loves her. Lois knows. She knows he really loves her. Then the joke lands. Brian will be dead in a couple of years too. And they laugh. The bleakness is not random, it is how Lois survives showing through. Everyone around her needs something. Peter, Brian, the kids, the house, the neighbors. Her survival does not look like saintly patience. It looks like a private wicked accounting system. They will all go eventually. She will endure, the trust fund will vest, life will move. Then Stewie says it, "You are one twisted lady." The line matters because he is seeing a person where he used to see a role. Lois is more than mother. She is funny, ugly, strategic, resentful, tired, tender, and much less innocent than he assumed. That is what disturbs him. The obstacle suddenly has a mind of her own. Then the episode walks straight into the old joke. Stewie admits there was a time he wanted to kill Lois. The admission is familiar. The explanation is new. Maybe he did not want to kill her because he hated her. Maybe he wanted to kill the part of himself that came from her. The helplessness, the dependence, the lack of control. A running gag becomes a wound. Stewie's rage starts to look like self-hatred turned outward. The psychology word is projection, but the idea is simple. Something inside Stewie is too painful to own, so he places it on Lois. Stewie cannot bear dependence, so he attacks Lois. He cannot bear helplessness, so he turns Lois into the helpless one. He cannot bear needing his mother, so the need comes out as disgust. The confession lands because Stewie is not doing a clean apology. He is finding the machinery of his own hatred while the sentence is leaving his mouth. Vulnerability, at least here, is not crying or dramatic music or a perfect line. It is letting someone see the logic under the behavior. In this show, "I wanted to kill you" is barely shocking anymore. That sentence has basically become wallpaper. The dangerous sentence is, "I think it was about me." The center of the scene is not the confession. It is the silence after it. Stewie says the terrible thing, and Lois stays. She does not punish him. She does not collapse. She does not turn the moment into a parenting lecture. She does not make him regret telling the truth. She gives him reception, and that is what the whole night has been moving toward. Stewie says the thing that should make him impossible to love, and Lois stays in the room. She still sees him. The relief lives there. Stewie is smart enough to explain anything. He has language, references, wit, superiority. He can hide inside analysis until the furniture gets bored. None of that moves the wound. The wound moves because Lois hears it and does not run from it. In Stewie's head, the thought is another villain monologue. Said to Lois, it becomes a scene between a mother and a child. The episode understands how meanness works too because meanness simplifies characters. Lois becomes the obstacle. Stewie becomes the difficult baby. Peter becomes dead weight. Brian becomes another needy creature in the house. Bonnie becomes, as Stu puts it, not pretty enough to be as mean as she is. Brutal line, also extremely Family Guy, mean specific, and socially observant in a way nobody wants to co-sign out loud. During the night, Lois and Stewie do not become nicer in some bland, enlightened way. They become curious. Curiosity does not make them saints. If anything, it makes them more honest and slightly more dangerous. But it lets them see each other. Stewie discovers that Lois is not domestic softness. Lois discovers that Stewie's cruelty has more under it than cruelty. Their behavior gets context. Often, this is the first move away from treating someone like a punchline. Not forgiveness, not instant change, just context. The person stops being only the role they play in the conflict. They become interpretable. The night feels intimate even when the jokes stay nasty because of that. The meanness has company now. Some of it is attack. Some of it is recognition. The ending is the reason the episode holds together. Lois and Stewie wake up. They do not fully remember the night, but they both feel that something happened. Then the old rhythm returns. Stewie wants something. Lois reacts. The audio problem comes back. By the end, the old "I'm going to kill her" energy is still alive. On paper, nothing changed. Emotionally, something did. These moments usually work like that. A scene like this does not delete a personality. It does not uninstall old habits. Nobody becomes permanently mature by breakfast. Not even in animation, and animation lets babies build time machines. The characters return to their defaults. The sitcom resets. But something remains, a trace, a felt memory, a new room inside the same old house. The final return to the murder joke does not ruin the episode. It deepens it. Before this, Stewie wanting to kill Lois was just a gag. After this, the gag has history. It has tenderness under it. The hostility is still funny, but now it belongs to a child who needs the person he resents. Healing does not erase the joke. It changes what the joke means. For me, that puts the edible arrangement with the best Stewie Lois stories in the show. The edible arrangement is absurd. A cartoon baby and his mother get high and accidentally have the conversation their dynamic has needed for 24 seasons. The absurdity is doing real work. It lets the show explain why these two characters never really understood each other without becoming Lecture. Stewie is trapped inside Stewie. Lois is trapped inside Lois. They live in the same house, but for most of the show, they are still guessing at each other. The bridge between Stewie's world and Lois's world is not perfect language, therapy speak, or an I feel sentence read like a hostage note from a laminated worksheet. The bridge is translation. The courage to say, this thing I did was not the whole story. Here is what was happening inside me. And the grace to hear that without making the other person regret saying it. For 24 seasons, Stewie wanted to kill Lois. Then, for one strange night, he translated himself, and Lois heard him. Not perfectly, not permanently. Nothing gets fixed that cleanly in Family Guy or in life. But the joke changes shape. The audience sees what was hiding under it. And a stupid fight about Oreos becomes one of the most honest things the show has done